know there's probably worse people in the world than his family, than his parents, but as far as people I know that I've met, his parents are the worst people that I've ever known. Ever. Period. Hey everyone, so before we get started, I just wanted to add this little bit to give a few disclaimers. Please remember that when you're watching these kinds of videos, don't comment down below if you know who I'm talking about and leave their name. If I leave someone anonymous, it's because I want them to be anonymous. I mean, if you put somebody's name in a comment, I'm gonna delete it. So please don't do that. When I make these videos, I'm just trying to get this stuff off of my chest. I'm unburdening myself by making these kinds of videos. I can hopefully stop carrying around the weight of all these experiences that have happened to me, specifically when they're bad experiences. This is like my therapy session, okay? This is not meant to have any effect on the people that I'm talking about. Best case scenario, they don't even see this video and it will have zero effect on their lives. But just in case, let me say, please don't try to find these people, don't harass them or message them, please. Don't do that. So anyways, thanks, and let's get on with the video. Bye! To my ex and his family or friends or anyone supporting him, if you are watching this, why? Just do yourself a favor and click away, because there is nothing you're gonna gain from watching this video. I can't stop you from watching this. The bottom line is, don't contact me. I don't want to hear from you. You have nothing to say to me that I could possibly need to hear, and yes, I know that for a fact. Just don't talk to me. Save yourself some trouble. Don't do it. Alright, hello everybody! So I'm back again for another story time, and I'm really excited because I've heard a lot lately that people I know, wow, my blush looks like really intense. Oh, that's fine. I've heard from a lot of people lately that they really enjoy watching my story times, so you know what? Here we are. We're back. And this time we're gonna be spilling a whole lot of tea, and it's gonna be a little mini therapy session for me, I'm sure. Oh my god, I have to sneeze. No, I don't. Never mind. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about my ex's horrible parents. And I feel like even that coming out of my mouth, it sounds so harsh because like I'm talking about somebody's family. You know, there are going to be people who see this or see the title or whatever and they're like, wow, you're really going to go after his family? That is not classy. But you know what? I had to deal with all their bullshit for 3 years. And so I have a right to tell how they treated me and what I think of them. I also have this great evidence of this letter that they sent me while I was dating their son, and we'll get to that. So if you don't know which ex I'm talking about and you have no idea any of the context or background for this story, it's really okay. You can still watch this video anyway, and then later check out the video that I did about our relationship, which is going to be right up here or in the description box down below. There'll be a link to that video that I did all about how horrible our relationship was and why I got the heck out of there after 3 years, you know. We all make bad choices. But again, if you're not caught up with that, it's really okay. You can still enjoy this video anyway without knowing what my relationship with my ex was like. This is just gonna be mainly about his family. So like I said, I was in this relationship for 3 years before I broke up with this guy who was truly terrible. I remember when we first started dating and he was telling me about his family and he was prepping me to meet them. From the information that he was telling me, I was like, oh, they're bad people and they're not gonna like me. Like, I just knew based off of that. Like, he prepared me for, like, they're really judgy, prepped me on how I should act around them, and just, it was a whole lot. Like, when you're meeting your significant other's family, it definitely should not have to be like, you can't be yourself around these people. That's a red flag. That's a warning sign. Wow, my blush is, like, really red today. But that's fine. It's fine. We look cute. I don't even know how this happened right here with my thumbs, but it's not what this is meant for, but it's happening. So when it came time, we'd been dating for maybe a month or something like that. And the way I was going to meet his parents was I was going to go to church. So his dad is still a pastor. So he's a pastor's kid and that's like a huge part of their life. And so he was like, you should go to church and that'd be a good way to make a good first impression on them. I was like, okay, cool, I'll go to church. I was nervous out of my mind. Not only was I meeting his parents, I was meeting his other 4 siblings, as well as his aunt, his uncle, 4 cousins, and his grandmother, all on the same day. I was meeting the whole family. So it was hella nerve-wracking. And I was just very quiet. I try to be polite. I'm also not very good with manners. I never really learned very well how to do the whole like, oh, I'm good, how are you doing? So I was still like kind of like figuring that out, like, as my awkward self. So I was really worried I was gonna, like, mess something up. I went to church and they seemed to like me okay. So it was like, okay, cool. I don't know what happened after that, but then they just suddenly took a nosedive, completely hated my guts. It became this whole thing of like, oh, maybe if you could just meet them halfway, you know, him asking me to like, you know, try to be more this or do more that, or like show them that you're this kind of person, or just be more religious. I am religious. I consider myself Christian, but I'm not somebody that's hateful. I have a lot of stuff that's like hard to reconcile with a lot of like church culture and the Bible itself. We're getting so into this, but it's a necessary part of the story, I guess. I've never been a hateful Christian. Like, that's just not me. I don't understand how people get like that. I mean, I understand that it's like church culture and people who are raised in this bubble don't know how to believe anything else. And sort of this cult-like mentality that certain churches have. It makes it hard for people to see things clearly. So I've always been Christian, but he was like, start doing more things. Like, I started going to church more often. I started going to church with them at their church every Sunday. And let me tell you, their church is honestly whack, okay? So many people are crazy about it. Not young people. Let's say that. So I think you guys know, you get the gist of it. It's not super progressive, but his dad, the way that he preaches is very like ambiguous. I think his dad is very bigoted. He's definitely homophobic. He's very conservative and just not a good person. But he preaches in a way that is still ambiguous. So if you want to interpret what he's saying in a bigoted way, you can. He's not explicitly saying anything, so it's kind of hard to call him out on it. When he was not preaching, when he would have a guest pastor there, it'd be somebody that he knew personally, that he'd had experience with, he'd seen them preach. They would just say some horrible things sometimes. Like, there was one person, there's some character in the Bible, a male character, who was said to have cried in multiple stories or at multiple times, whatever. This one guest pastor said something about him having emotional problems and basically not being a man because he cried. And he said it like it was a joke, like, huh, you know, nudge nudge, wink wink, like emotional problems. Ew. And it's like, maybe his dad didn't say that, but he invited someone to the church who said stuff like that. The people that you invite to be guest preachers at your church are speaking for you. Like, if you didn't believe that stuff, you wouldn't have invited them. Pretty gross. His dad had a problem with their lesbian neighbors. They lived next door to a very cute lesbian family. They had, I think, like 2 kids. They had one of those signs that says something like, in this house we believe science is real, love is love. They seem like people that I would want to hang out with. And his dad had a problem with them, and this is all just background, by the way. We're just getting to the stuff. So his dad is just a big stifled man baby who takes their anger out on the world 24/7, except, you know, when you're in front of the church and you have to look good. That's who his dad was. So they ran a very, very toxic household. In some ways, the women of the house were very much like, we're feminists and this and that, but like at the same time, they were very much just trapped to the whims of their crazy father/husband. And there was a time where I came over and they just didn't have a couch anymore. And it was very clear that it was just a whim of my ex's dad that he just didn't think they needed a sofa anymore. So he got rid of the couch and there was nowhere to sit except the dining room table. And you could tell that his mom was not happy about it, but she was just like, that's what he wants and we do what he wants because he's the man of the house and that's how the Bible says to do it. Ugh. Just so gross. And there was another time where I was in the church office with her and she said something about like, I just hate wearing pantyhose, you know, but you know, my husband says that we have to, so and I'm just looking at her like, no. The fuck? I don't know. Someone get me out of here. Out of everybody in his family, his mom was probably the one that was the nicest to me, but it was always with a cold edge. The softest cold edge of anyone in the family. The way that everyone interacted with me was with this very thin surface layer of hospitality and kindness that was just a veil to cover up how much they hated me. I mean, and when I say hate, they hated me. They hated me. They wanted nothing to do with me. They would say things like, you know, oh, you're very welcome here. But you could tell based on literally everything else about our interactions that they did not want me there, and I was very much not welcome there. Actually, his grandmother probably I have the least quarrel with, because she just was kind of a normal person, to be honest. Oh Jesus, I just got a glimpse of this letter again. His parents would constantly use religion and straying from God as a reason why he should break up with me, because I apparently am just this horrible person who is corrupting him. So like one time his mother came into his room early in the morning, woke him up crying by his bedside saying, "I just feel like you're turning away from God." And if that is not manipulation, she was talking about me. Dating me was turning away from God. The thing was, his parents didn't want him to date. They didn't want him to date anyone. They didn't want him to marry anyone. And this is all stuff that I've heard from my ex. He figures that they just want him to work for the church forever and be single forever. They have other children that are gonna get married and have kids, but not him. They needed him because they use him for everything. I mean, he plays piano for the church. Anything that goes wrong in the church, he's also responsible for doing like this, the audio, the sound, like making sure the speakers are playing things right, making sure the screen is coming up right. They have like TVs that show slideshows. He's responsible for literally everything. And anytime something goes wrong, he's the one that's supposed to immediately drop everything and fix it now, fix it fast. Because if he doesn't, his dad will get angry, and if his dad gets angry, I mean, his whole demeanor, like, he's just shattered, feels awful, and there's nothing that you can do to snap him out of that. He does so much for them, the whole family, constantly, and he never says no because he doesn't want to let anyone down, because like I said, what happens when he lets people down? Where was I going with that? I don't know. I just got upset. One time, I was waiting on campus for him to come and meet me. I was waiting on my ex to show up so we could walk to my car together, and I was like, where is he? He's not here yet. I've been waiting for a few minutes. So I called him. Apparently what happened was he was riding his bike to come meet me. He saw on his Apple Watch that he was getting a call, and then he didn't pay attention long enough on his bike that he crashed, and he like skinned his hands, I think. He like got pretty cut up. And of course I was concerned about him when he got there. He gave me some lip about it as if it was my fault, and I just don't care about him, as if I somehow knew that he was riding his bike and that he was going to crash if I called him. So mad. I'm so mad. So anyways, his dad saw the skinned hands and asked him about it, and he told him the story, and he said, who is calling, and like pressed him until he told him, yeah, it was Olivia. And he said, sounds like a sign, son. A sign from God that we are not supposed to be together. His parents tried to bring us up so many times. I swear to God. How can, it's so fucked up to use religion when you know that's such an important and like guiding force in someone's life. To use religion to tell someone how to live their life, that they shouldn't be doing something that they're very happy to be doing, you know? To try to rule their life choices. That's really fucked up and manipulative. Just stuff like that would happen all the time. When I told my mom that, I told her so nonchalantly, and she flipped out. She was like, he said, what? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that is kind of fucked up. And none of the children in this family are happy. Not my ex, not his siblings, not his cousins. Nobody. Everything is restricted because it's not Christian, apparently. Which, you know, if that's how you want to live your life, that's fine. If you want to keep your children away from things that you deem against your religion, that's absolutely fine. Like, I get that. It's just the way that they not only don't let them do Christian things, they just don't let them do joyful things. They don't let them have fun. Because if you're having too much fun, you're not thinking about God. I spent probably a year really trying to like make his siblings, make his parents, his cousins, his aunt and uncles approve of me, and all for nothing. I like to call it the reason of the month, which my ex vehemently denied was a thing. The reason of the month. So he'd be like, you don't seem religious enough. So I would study up on the Bible. I started going to their church every Sunday. And then it was like, oh, you're not this enough. You don't actively make an effort to talk to them. I mean, I'm only like in their house like every week, but so I started actively engaging them and talking about things with them that they liked. Not that they talk about a whole lot of stuff or that they like a whole lot of things. And it's still like every month it was like there would be a new reason. I would work on it being more this or doing more that. nothing. The next month it would be another reason. Oh, well, you need to try to be more like this. And at a certain point you also have to wonder like how much of it is really their problem and how much of it is the person you're dating's problem. Because I'm not hearing any of this from them. I'm hearing all of it from him. So I don't really know. But I do know that they were not gonna like me. And so I really just told myself like, okay, you're gonna try these things, and if they work, they work. But if they don't, it's not gonna be your fault because that's toxic as fuck. If they don't like you, it's their fault. It's not mine at all. I'm amazing, okay? I look forward so much to the day when I'm married to someone amazing and I have an amazing second family with them. It's gonna be great, and their parents and their siblings and whoever are gonna love me. It really does hurt. It feels very personal. Even though it was never personal, like it was always just, it was they had a problem with something superficial or with just their son dating. It still feels personal, so like, it hurts like fuck. He told me, okay, I know it's been like probably like a year or something of us dating, but I would really like it if you would just meet with my parents and like have dinner with them. His dad texted me about a time to have lunch with them, and I said, okay, perfect. And then it was during the summertime, and my mom was trying to get the pool up in our backyard. We have an above ground pool. Every year we end up having to like scrub it and clean it out so we can fill it back up with water. And my mom decided, hey, I'm gonna need your guys' help on this day to help with the pool. And I was like, I can't, Mom, I've already made plans to go out with parents and have lunch and like do this whole talk and stuff. And she said, well, I don't care, we're doing this, which was insane at the time, but also like I really do understand. Like she'd had enough of his parents, and like my family despised his family. Like they loved him because, like I said in the other video, he always presented very much as someone who was very good and proper and likable and wants to hear all about your life, and he laughs at everything that you say and acts like you're just amazing. He's very, very fake all the time. He just has a way of making people feel good about themselves, but in a very superficial way that if like you look a little bit deeper than the surface, you will notice that it's all fake. If you do get to see the real him, you're probably in a relationship with him and you're probably being abused. So fun, right? I ended up being forced by my mom. Like she was pissed. She was like, you are not gonna choose that family over me, over these plans, which again is a little bit crazy, but also I understand because his family ain't shit, and I would choose my family a billion jillion times over his family. His family sucks. So I ended up having to be like, I'm so sorry, something came up, I really can't do it. Yeah, that was one strike and you're out with his dad. So I rescheduled with his mom. His dad had other things to do, which I'm pretty sure is a lie. His dad just decided, oh, she's not serious about this, and decided not to do it. Yeah, I'm the one that's not trying. So I ended up having lunch with his mom where she said things like, in our family, we don't do divorce. Which is the most threatening yet presented in such a non-threatening package I've ever received. If I marry your son and I want to get divorced, I'm going to get divorced. What do you mean? My ex told me that his mom talked to him at one point and said something about basically along the lines of she didn't want us to be together, didn't want us to get married, because, which we very much intended to do at the time, which is so embarrassing for me. But she didn't want us to get married because we reminded her of her and her husband, his dad, and she regrets marrying his dad. Yeah. Really. Now, I don't know if she said those exact words. Probably not. It's probably just what my ex was inferring based on what she said, but I honestly can believe it. Again, don't come for me. I'm just repeating what their son told me. So anyways, let's get to this whole letter business. So yeah, my ex decided that we should break up, but we met and we talked about it and decided, you know what, let's not break up, let's just take a break. So we were on a break for, I think we made a deal that we were gonna do it a month exactly. This was like right before Christmas. Took our break, and then like late January, we met, we discussed, talked about all the things that we were gonna work on, and I had just a ridiculous amount of stuff that I needed to work on apparently. The stuff I gave him was more like, when we're arguing, you're not allowed to scream at me. And he was like, that's it? And I was like, excuse me, that's it? That was not the only thing on the list, but I mean, for him to be like, that's such a big deal to you, like, yes, that's a big deal. You are not allowed to, you can, I'm broken. He's broken me. I can't speak anymore. This whole story. That's a huge deal. You don't get to just scream at someone 24/7. You shouldn't scream at the person you're dating at all. So yeah, mine was more simple things like that. His was more like, you can't talk to me about this at like this time of day, or like you need to be more considerate of this, and like you need to be there for me, and basically like just be his servant. So basically what he wanted me to become was his mother. So we decided to be back together. His parents didn't approve of that. They wanted us to not get back together until after graduation, because their idea, essentially what you can easily infer, is that if we spend enough time apart from each other, that we would just decide that we didn't want to get back together. So my ex suggested that I so kindly would write them a letter and apologize to them. Yeah, so ridiculous. It makes me mad. And I was like, I love this person. If it would make his life easier, I will do that for him. I swear to God. So I apologize for all the times that they had to see him come home upset because we just had a fight. Whatever. Maybe I'll read my letter. I don't know. I still probably have it saved on my computer somewhere. But what this letter is their response. Let's see what these little babies had to say. That's what they are. Is little babies who never grew from their emotional trauma. Let's do it. Dear Olivia, this is gonna make me really upset. We apologize that we have taken so long to respond to your letter. We have been prayerfully considering what to say. Here is our response. ... First of all, we truly appreciate your honesty and candor, as well as your sincere apology. However, we are saddened that you feel the need to apologize at all. Ugh. We have not and do not hold any animosity towards you. Right. And it was never our intent to make you feel that way. We love our son and simply want what's best for him, as well as you. Oh, I'm so sure. In that vein, we ask you both to delay a romantic relationship until after graduation. Of course, you can continue to be friends, but for now, we think it is best for both of you to focus on school, family, friends, and your future goals and aspirations. Notice how it sounds like they basically gave me permission to be friends with him? This is the part that I'm like, they really just tried to break up with me for him? Like, excuse me? Like, they say, of course you can continue to be friends. Excuse me, are you, because you were allowing it? Bitch, I don't need your permission. At graduation, you will be faced with many decisions and opportunities. We want you both to grow in Christ and hear his voice as you make these decisions. When you are solidly planted in who you are and who you hope to become, it makes every relationship better. We want you and to take this... Oh, I didn't mean to say his name. We want you and Bleep to take this time to reach that place in your lives. For many reasons, we feel waiting is best for both you and Bleep. In a few months, you can revisit, again, giving me permission. You can revisit your feelings for each other and see what God says. As always, we will continue to pray for both you and your family. Sincerely, blank and blank. I fucking hate them. Like, I try not to be I don't really think I hate them anymore. I just feel like I'm glad they're out of my lives. But they're such bad people. Ugh. So yeah, we dated in secret. We had to hide the fact that we were dating from his parents. I told one of my best friends, I told Jasmine, you guys know her. I told her about how I was writing this letter to his parents, and she immediately said, "What are they, 6?" And that's when I was like, oh yeah, I guess this is kind of a ridiculous situation. Like, it was just so normalized to me. Like, to me, it was just something like, I don't really want to do it, but I'll do it for him. But like, it took her saying that to realize how ridiculous it was. So that's just something that I should like tell you guys. Like, if you're in a relationship and you feel like things might be kind of like iffy, talk to your friends about what you're going through, because your friends are gonna have the insight for you. Your friends are gonna snap you out of it. That's why so many people who are toxic, so many people who are abusive, try to separate you from your friends and family, because they know they're the ones, your friends and family are the people that are gonna get you away from this person when they realize how bad they are for you. If there are so many bad parts of your relationship that you're keeping secret, the only thing that you're doing is hurting yourself and helping the person that you're with. You're not doing yourself any favors. Even if you think you're gonna marry this person, talk to your friends. Seriously. Although he talked to his friends and they thought that I was the problem because he always made it sound like I was a bad person. Oh, I need to hurry the fuck up. I'm supposed to leave for work in 5 minutes. Shit. This is during a time that they knew we were dating. At one point, we were making out in my car and parked in front of his house. He didn't think his parents were gonna come home for a while. And their car pulled into the driveway and I didn't see them until I saw them walking to the house. And I said, "Oh, your family's back." and he froze. I barely got any words out of him, and then I found out that he was terrified because his parents might have potentially, he didn't even know for sure, but that they could have seen us making out. He was afraid that they were gonna kick him out of the house for kissing his girlfriend because, and I didn't know this until this moment, that his dad was pretty much, I guess, pushing for him to have his first kiss on his wedding day. What? I mean, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But to force someone to live their life that way is crazy. So I ended up sitting with him in the backseat of my car in dead silence for 2 hours. 2 hours with nothing going on. Just sitting beside him, trying to be comforting to him and saying things but not getting a response until eventually I just had to sit there quietly beside him because he was terrified to enter his house. Ugh.
This is a trigger warning for sexual assault.
Of course, then he also tried to impulsively have sex with me in the car, and I was not comfortable being his coping mechanism because that's not what I'm there for. And I had to shut it down multiple times until he finally stopped. And on one occasion, his sister said that she was never going to get married because it would upset her parents too much. So she planned to never get married. Fucked me up hearing that. I was like, wow, you're gonna give away a normal future, not because you want to, because some people don't want to get married and that's fine, but because your parents wouldn't like that? That's terrible. I think the last thing that I want to get into is what happened. Okay, so this was in the last year of our relationship. His parents and him decided to schedule a meeting with me. Everything was very formal. Everything was scheduled. If him or any of his siblings wanted time with his parents, they would have to schedule time in the Google Calendar to sit down with them. So we scheduled a meeting together. We was going to meet at the church and try to talk some stuff out, I guess. And I think they apologized for not getting to know me better or something like that. But they also did this thing, his dad in particular, which my ex also did, and I hated it, where when you're trying to have a discussion or an argument, especially an argument, instead of just being direct, which is what I like to do, just talk about the issue and then you respond directly to what I said. Let's say I would say something, okay? Instead of just responding to it, they would say A, B, C, D, all the way down to Z. They would say so many different things that aren't even related to each other, and then when they're finished, they stop and they look at you. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to address A or G or W? Like, which point do you want me to what? And so you have to like really think hard and try to figure out which of those points was the actual thing that they really wanted you to respond to. During this meeting, without really knowing me at all, his dad went on this long tirade about how he had a friend who was bipolar and he'd seen him do some scary stuff, like stand on the top of a building before, really unsafe stuff, and it really freaked him out. And then talking about, basically the implication was that I should admit to them that I'm bipolar for his son's safety because he's just being a concerned parent, just pressuring me to admit that to them. But the thing is, I'm not bipolar. Like, there's nothing shameful about that. I have friends who are bipolar. I've known plenty of people who are bipolar. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not. So, and he had zero reason to think that. Basically, I just had a different personality than they were used to. So he was just assuming off of little to no information that I was bipolar. That's insane. Also, I have to go to work now. Okay, I'll be back. Alright guys, so I'm back. It's actually the next day. Let's get back to our story. So let me just like wrap it up with a few extra little details. So his siblings honestly never really liked me, but I think it was more they're very influenced by the things that their parents said because obviously they didn't know me. When we first started dating, my ex told his parents eventually that we were dating, and then they told his siblings, and his sister cried. And I really don't know what to make of that. Like, how old was she again? She was a freshman in college. You know, amongst all this, like, his parents disapproving of us being together. Like, yes, that's true, we should not be together. Like, he's a horrible person and I want nothing to do with him. But that being said, they really didn't know anything about our relationship, and they just decided they hated me, like straight up hated me. And so it was like, you know, when people say, you did the math wrong, but you got the right answer. It was one of those things, you know, like they had little to no information to go off of. And yet that's their conclusion. They just straight up hated me. I also never liked them either. They always just seemed like bad people. So I guess what's the takeaway from this whole situation? So it was never his fault that he had shitty parents or a crap family. And it definitely wasn't my fault. I could never ask him to separate from his family because that's his family. But I would advise him to do things like, hey, like you need to say no sometimes, because sometimes like you really can't do the thing that they're asking of you. Like you haven't slept much in weeks, months, years, because you've been working on so many projects. And I told him like, hey, I think you should move out because they're literally controlling and running your life. And they don't give a shit about how that affects you or how you feel about it. But I could never tell him, hey, you need to cut off your family. But the thing is, like, somebody you're dating doesn't have to completely cut off their family for you. But like, if they're not willing to like really put their foot down and stand up for you, or if they're constantly still asking you to try and win over their insanely difficult family's approval, no, I really think you should get out of there. Maybe it's not your time. Maybe you can come back together later when they've grown, put some distance between them and their crazy family. He shouldn't have kept asking me to try to win them over. Even after just a year of being together, even less than that. If they weren't gonna make the effort, it's not my job to push them into liking or approving of me. And if you are in a relationship with somebody whose family does not like you, but you are trying your best, you have the best intentions, and it's still just not working out, do not blame yourself. It's not your fault. And honestly, don't let yourself be pushed around by somebody's shitty family, shitty parents, whatever. If you need to stand up for yourself, you stand up for yourself. And if your significant other doesn't support you, then you need to dip, okay? Like, you are not the problem here. I wish so many times that I would have stood up to them more, but it's like I would get so fired up when I was like at home going over everything in my head, and then when I was in front of them, it was like I would freeze up. Ooh, and sometimes I still have fantasies, reliving moments where I was hanging out at their house and we were casting things to the television, and I just think about, ooh, what if I had just casted like a really racy music video that was a song that was all about sex? Drop some F-bombs. Oof. Feels good. So anyway, I love you guys a whole bunch, and thank you so much for watching these. It really does mean a lot to me. It really feels good to like say this stuff and put it out there into the universe. It's such a relief, and it's so hard to describe what it feels like, but just thank you. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Testing, testing, testing. Oops. We are not the same, oh, we are not the same. We are not the same, oh, we are not the same. Why do I feel like I have gas? I don't know and I don't like it. Just really excited about this air clip. Cute but edgy. Anyway, let's get back to our story. Oh, I swallowed my lip gloss again. I didn't learn. Ugh. It's in my throat. It's in my throat. It is. We are not the same, ho. We are not the same. Oh. We are not the same, ho. We are not the same. We are not the same, ho. We are not the same. We are not the same, ho. We are not the same.